So we didn't really have big events to take up its own video. I feel like we did a lot of little things. So I thought it would just make more sense just kind of combine everything together to make one video. And these are going to be the last 3 days of my Chile trip. So my friend took us to Viña del Mar, and that's where we did a lot of like shopping and sightseeing. And it's right next to the ocean, so there's lots of pretty views from here. She took us to a clock, and it's a giant clock. You can see it right from the road, and it's made up of flowers, and it's called the Reloj de Flores. So we got to see that, and then we saw the little garden areas that surround it. And then after that, we went to a very, very, very wealthy looking neighborhood. And it's right in Viña del Mar, and it's super nice. I would definitely say it looks a lot more modern. I feel like it looks like something you would see possibly in the States. And you know, it's clean, it's quiet, it's a very quiet neighborhood. So while we were exploring this neighborhood, we found the president's summer home, and it's this giant mansion of a home. But I was kind of like filming the outside, and then I went up to the gate and I was filming inside, and past that gate is a giant courtyard. So, you know, I'm just minding my business, you know, recording this, and I see something black move on like the corner of my eye, and I wasn't sure if I saw what I thought I saw because it was kind of dark. If you see from the video, like it's kind of dark on the sides. So then I kind of move a little bit back from the fence, and then I see like a figure of somebody like in this corner, and I'm like, oh my God, it's a ghost, right? And then like he moved a little bit closer to me, and it was a guard. And I was like, oh sweet Jesus. Like, he didn't say anything. He was just like, you know, creeping out in the dark. So I freaked out. He said something in Spanish to us, and I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I was just recording something. Like, I had my hands up. Like, I was gonna get shot or something. And then he ended up giving us some pamphlets about the place. I guess, you know, tourists come pretty often, so they got pamphlets ready. So after we were done exploring this neighborhood, we were off to bachata class. I have never done bachata. I have no idea what it even is. I just know it's some kind of dance. So we get to the bachata class, and it's full of people, and no one speaks English. So I'm gonna have to try to learn a dance in Spanish, and this is my first time. So this is gonna be really rough. So basically, bachata is a crap ton of turns. Like, you have to turn every 5 seconds. So I was able to get like not even half, maybe like a fourth of this dance lesson, like pretty okay. But like as soon as we started making like these like super sudden turns, like I'm already getting like motion sickness. I'm about to throw up, and I already forgot like half the steps to like the next part. And then after the class, one of my friend's friend, she spoke a little bit of English. She came up to me and she was like, hey, like you did really good for, you know, your first class, and you don't even speak the language. And I was like, oh, thanks. I didn't tell her I was gonna throw up like 5 times in the class, but you know, it was nice that someone actually paid attention to how well I was doing. But anyways, after our bachata class, my friend took us to a little itty bitty, it was super tiny. I felt like it was not even like a restaurant, it was like half a restaurant. So I feel like there was enough room for like 8 people to like squish up in this little itty bitty restaurant to order. And this restaurant serves a particular dish called a completo. And I absolutely love this. And this is like a Chilean version of a hot dog. So there's like a ton of variations for this hot dog. So the one that I got, you have your bread and then you have your little weenie hot dog. I don't know what you guys call it. is avocado and garlic mayo. I've never had garlic mayo. I've never even heard of garlic mayo. This was delicious. Oh my God. And it just melts in your mouth. Oh my God. And then we ended up getting another completo, I think like the next day. That one was weird. But it had basically the same thing, which was the bun, and then it had your little weenie hot dog thing. And then on top of that was like shredded chicken or beef. And then on top of that was like grilled onions. And then on top of that was a bunch of French fries. And on top of that was a fried egg. That was really good too. I'm pretty sure that was really unhealthy, but it was delicious. So once we were done eating completos, my friend took us to a bachata club, which is where everybody from the class went to afterwards. So I didn't really dance too much, mainly because everybody was looking really professional and like, you know, swinging each other around, and I feel like I already forgot all the steps I learned from class. I took pictures and video, and I took a video of my friend and her now fiance while they were dancing at the bachata club, and they looked super professional. At the time that I filmed this, they didn't really like know each other that well, so I think it's kind of funny that like I have this footage of them before they even got together, you know, and now it's like, oh, we're getting married. So fast forward to the next day in Chile, and we're heading to a vineyard. We're going through this really, really, really beautiful area. This is definitely a favorite area of mine that I would not mind living, and it's Casa Blanca. And the vineyard that we're going to is called Viramonte. This place is absolutely surreal to see it in person. I felt like my entire life I've just been under like this veil of like dull color. And then when we went here to Casa Blanca, it's like that veil was just lifted and everything was like in HD color. And so we went through a tour of the vineyard that they have there in Chile, and they had these super adorable little sheep just running around, playing, eating bugs. It was beautiful. So after we were done at the winery and we did, you know, some wine tasting and things like that, we went to another area called Pomaire. But on the way to Pomaire, something incredible happened. So as we're driving down this like one-lane road to Pomaire, there was two cows. There's a big fluffy cow, and then there's a little itty bitty baby cow. And they're just, you know, they're just hopping down the street. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm like really excited because I'm able to pet a cow. Oh my gosh, they're so, oh my God, this is so cool. So these cows are hiding from us. They're like sneaking out in like these little shrub trees on the side of the road, and then on the other side of these bushes is a fence, and I think that's where they came from because there's a bunch of other cows. And then I'm telling my friend, like, look, there's more cows, like they're all looking at us. They're literally, all the cows are staring at us. So there's like this black cow, he's kind of big, and he's like right in the middle, and you know, he's giving us the death stare, and I guess he's like their cow leader or something. And he lets out this really like low like moo, and then all of the other cows start mooing along with him, like he just told them like, don't talk to them. They think we're creepy. I think they were scared. You're like, don't talk to them. And then immediately, like, the little cows that were on the street, the mom and I guess the little calf, pup, I don't know what it's called. They ended up running away and I couldn't catch up to them, but it was magical. That was probably the closest I've ever been to a cow, and it was great. So we finally get to this little village called Pomaire, and it's a very, very small little itty-bitty town, and they're really famous for their pottery work. And so a lot of the places there, they have, you know, bowls and spoons, vases, just a bunch of things made out of clay. So while we're in Pomaire, we get something to eat. And so they're already cooking like a bunch of food, and they have these like empanadas that are as big as my head. It might have even been bigger than my head. So, well, why don't you climb up there? Okay, so, I feel like there's like fur in my ear now. So while we're being seated at this restaurant, the waitress gives us some rolls, which are really good. I don't know what it is about Chilean bread, but it's delicious. And she also brings us a drink that's free and alcoholic. It's called chicha, and I think there's like different variations of chicha. It looked like Kool-Aid. It was like a bright fuchsia color, and it tasted really, really good. And I couldn't like pinpoint a flavor exactly, but I think it's made of like fermented corn. I think. I'm not 100% sure, so if it's not, let me know. And then we also ordered empanadas, which I thought you could only get empanadas with like pumpkin or some kind of like sweet filling. I didn't know you can make empanadas from like normal food. I think my friend's host dad got grilled beef and onions, and also had black olives and mushrooms in it. So of course, after we were done eating, we went and shopped around Pomaire. So after Pomaire, we all went to San Antonio. Chile has an area called San Antonio. So my favorite part about this coastal area was the sea kitties. They were so cute and chubby and round. I think one of them sneezed. He's like shaking. What? He's scratching.
Oh, now one sneezed. Did you see that?
Oh, he sneezed. Bless you. So this was my last day in Chile. We mostly just explored more of Viña del Mar. Afterward, we head to Dunas de Concon. And they're giant. They're massive sand dunes, and they're all along the coast. So when we get there, there's a guy who is selling like snowboards, it looks like. And so you can take this little board with you when you go up to the sand dune, and then when you get to the other side, you can slide down the sand dune. Afterwards, you have to take that same board and climb all the way back up the hill to go back to the other side to give your snowboard thing back. It was really hard getting up the dune because it's sand, so your feet kind of just like sink into the dune. And this was like before I started getting like a little bit more active. So I was just like huffing and puffing, and my legs were about to just give up on me because it was so hard. So out of shape. Oh my God, it was totally worth it though. Just the view from the top of this dune was amazing.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
And so that was the end of our day, and we headed home back to Valparaiso. So on our way home, we wanted to stop by one more restaurant. We were trying to get all the Chilean like staples before we left. So my friend took us to another place that sold sandwiches. I'm not 100% sure if it's chaquerero or chacerero. I'll put the word like on the bottom of the screen. So if someone knows how to say it, I'd really appreciate knowing the correct way to say it. So what this is basically like a flat sandwich. Again, the bread was amazing. And inside the sandwich is like shredded meat. And you can either get like steak or pork. And inside of this is also like tomatoes and again, avocados. Avocados are like everywhere in Chile. And you know, they got mayo and stuff like that. And it's a very big sandwich. But we had that and it was delicious. And that was my trip to Chile. It was definitely filled with great memories and things I had never done before in my life. And it was such a culture shock. Being on this Chile trip definitely made me want to like step out of my comfort zone and like, you know, see the world. Because just this one little week that I had here in Chile, like I feel like it completely changed my outlook on just life. But anyway, I hope you had a great little mini vacation with me. Also, my fashion collection that I was working on is done. If you want to take a look at that, I'll leave a link down below. Yeah. And we shall see you next time. Right, Moo? Mia? Oh my God.